Hi you guys, I am Kim. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Today I am gonna be sharing and teaching and telling you my tips and tricks on how to create this super defined fluffy soap brows. I've been doing these brows a lot on my Instagram, and a lot of you that follow me on Instagram have been asking me for a tutorial. So I'm gonna take you step by step on how I create these super fluffy brows, and I hope that you enjoy and learn something, and let's get into the video. Okay guys, so let's get into this brow tutorial. First, I don't let anybody groom my brows ever. If you have a good brow styler person, I would say go ahead and do that and get them groomed by a professional if you feel really scared to do them yourself. Every time that I would go to the salon, I would get another girl to do my brows, and they would do it differently every time. And sometimes I would have a really good thick brow, sometimes I would end up with like skinny spaghetti brows. That was not cool, so I stopped going. I started doing them by myself, and what I mean by that is just with a little tweezer. I would just take hairs here and there to make it look just a little bit more cleaned up, but I wouldn't wax them or go in with a razor, just because I want them to look as fluffy as I can get them without any product. So I basically stopped doing that. Next up, and the most important product for this tutorial, is gonna be soap brow. I've been using this since the first lockdown, which was in March this year, so that's been like a few months now, and I still have a lot of product in here, so it does go a long way. And have in mind, I do use this like every single day. Sometimes I will use it more than once because I film for my Instagram, so I would do 2 looks in one day, so I would do my brows twice. So don't feel like you have to buy this. Try using normal soap first to get used to the technique and how it works. If you are gonna buy normal soap from the drugstore or wherever you get your soap, make sure that it's not like a white soap, because that is gonna leave a white cast on your brows and you're gonna be able to see it really well, and you don't want that. Okay, the second product that I have is a brow product, my brow product that I use, and this is a brow powder. This is the one from Anastasia Beverly Hills and I have the color Granite. I hope that's how you pronounce it in English. Comes with a lighter shade and a darker shade, which is really great to create like an ombre effect through your brows. I really love that. And the reason why I like to use a brow powder is because the formula is really dry and it doesn't create a weird texture once it goes on top of my soap. You could also use a brow pencil, but again, find one that is dry and formula, not one that is too creamy, because if it's too creamy, it's gonna mix in with the soap and it's gonna create a muddy texture on your brows, and you're not gonna be able to get that really defined look. So a brow pencil that is really dry, or try a brow powder. If you have a brow pen, that is also really great. Make sure that you use the pen once your soap is completely dry on your brows. So if you touch your brows and they don't feel like tacky anymore, that's the perfect time to go in with the pen, because again, a pen is a liquid, and if it mixes with the wet soap, it's gonna create a muddy, weird texture, and that's not something that you want. And the most important tool for this, I would say, is your eyebrow brush. A ZOEVA 317. This is the most perfect brow brush that I have found. I've been struggling since maybe 2017 to find a good brow brush. This is just absolutely perfect. You can see it is super thin. It looks really sharp, and it's also like just the right size. It's great at mimicking those little hair strokes through your brows because of how thin it is, and it picks up product amazingly. And ZOEVA brushes are actually really affordable, so I would really recommend. I'm gonna take my soap right here, and I am just gonna spray once, and I'm not gonna spray all the way down. I'm just gonna do like half a spray, just a little bit, because I want the texture in the soap to be tacky. I don't want it to be wet, once the soap is really wet, it's gonna be really hard to control on your brow, and it's just gonna get really messy and it's not gonna do its job. So I'm gonna take my spoolie and I'm gonna run the spoolie through the soap to get the brush saturated. And I am gonna start brushing upwards, like right here in the beginning of the brow. I want all these hairs to go up. I just took a little bit more soap just because I feel like it was a bit dry, it wasn't tacky enough, and you can really like feel it on your brow. And if it's like a tacky texture, it's good. Once I'm happy with how that is looking, what I'll do next is I'll take the end of another brush. I'm just gonna roll that on top of those hairs to really stick the hairs to my skin under my brow. You don't have to do this. If you just leave the soap like it was a minute ago before I pressed, that will give you a bit more of a fluffier texture, but it won't last as long throughout the day. So that is how it's looking right now. I am just gonna leave this. You want the product to really set and dry down before you start shaping and filling in the brow, because you don't want this wet texture to mix in with your brow product. That's gonna create a really muddy texture and it's not gonna look natural. You're not gonna be able to really paint on those hair strokes. Okay, so now I'm gonna start filling in the brows. And again, I'm just using the ABH powder for this step with my ZOEVA 317. And I like to start with the darkest shade in the powder. And I'm gonna start filling in wherever I see a little gap and I can see skin. So right here, I can see that it's empty, there's no hairs there. So I'm gonna place my brush and then I flick it upwards. And that does the slightest difference on my brows. Like, you can barely see it. You can see it maybe because I showed you that there was a gap there, but it's super natural the way I filled it in. So I just place the brush where I wanna fill and I just flick. And I am gonna do that just everywhere where I see skin and I see a little gap. So right here as well. And I just follow the shape that those little hairs go. So let's say in front of the brow, I would go more vertically. So place the brush and then flick upwards. So this next step is a little bit controversial, okay? Don't judge. But what I like to do is lick the brush a little bit, just like to get the tip of the brush wet. Of course, if you're doing someone else's makeup or you're doing clients or whatever, don't do this. Please don't do it. I do this because it's my face and it's my brush and I don't feel disgusted by myself. And once I've done that, I like to pinch it really skinny. And then I like to take just a little bit more powder and fill in. What this does is it makes the powder just a little bit darker, so I can create a little bit more defined hair strokes. And I am kind of going on top of the first little hairs that I drew on, and that creates like a ombre effect because I have lighter hair strokes and I have darker hair strokes. That creates the illusion of shadows and highlights, which gives a very three-dimensional fluffy brow, which is exactly what you want to create with this look. In front of my brow, I like to flick upwards. And this is pretty much it. I am already super happy with how that looks. That looks a lot fluffier and more defined than this brow. You could stop here, of course. I am gonna carve out my brows just to show you how that looks and how much that helps clean up under your brows, especially if you're doing eyeshadow or if you want to do a little bit more of a heavier look. I like to use a creamier concealer for carving out my brows, something that is gonna have a bit of coverage but it's also gonna set really nicely on the skin. And I like to use this one from Kiko Milano. It's called the Full Coverage Concealer. I just like to dip the brush in there and get some product. So I just start like right here and I start placing that product under my brow slowly. And once I get to the arch, I like to kind of curve it a little bit so it really lifts the brow. And right here, I just drag it down. Then I like to take a fluffy brush and just really blend the edges of that concealer so it looks seamless. I know this all seems like super complicated and like so much work, but really once you really get the hang of it and kind of figure out what works best for you, it's really easy and actually really fast. Because I'm talking and I'm trying to explain, it takes me such a long time to create. But if I'm not talking and I'm just doing this by myself, I can easily create this look in less than like 5 minutes. And again, this concealer step you can totally skip, just leave it like it was a minute ago and it's gonna look amazing. So guys, here we have the fluffy defined soap brows that I've been doing a lot on my Instagram lately and a lot of people seem to like it. Another thing that I wanted to share, this is also a really good time to clean up under your brows. Now that they are in the shape that you would love to have them, would be a good time to just take your tweezers and take out little hairs that you can see under that concealer that you used to carve out, or maybe just under the brow that you've just filled in and is really defined now. That is basically how I groom my brows when I am done cleaning them up with concealer. I hope this was helpful for you. Please let me know if it was helpful. Tag me on Instagram if you recreate these brows. I would love to see them and repost them on my stories. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't. Follow me on Instagram. I am doing a makeup look there every day until the end of the year, which has been really fun. A lot of inspo, a lot of glam looks. I've been loving the little challenge, so if you want to see that, go follow me there. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all, and I hope you have a lovely day or night or week or month wherever you are in the world, and I will see you all next time.